I am the Headless Headhunter, a corporate recruiter here to review your resumes to get you ahead of your job search. So, the first person we have up is and I'm going to use this quotation marks, is pharmacovigilance drug safety is what they put, but I could not find a pharmacovigilance drug safety. I could only find a pharmacovigilance specialist. So, I'm going under the assumption that a pharmacovigilance specialist is the same thing as a pharmacovigilance drug and safety person. This is also the second pharmacovigilance person I've reviewed. They didn't give me any information about how well their resume did or any other notes, so this is all I have to go off of. And if these are actually separate jobs, then none of these keywords actually matter. So assuming these are the correct keywords and assuming it's right, these are what we're going to be looking for. So let's look at this. And again, I don't know their ratio or anything. So what we're going to be looking for is your degree, MS Outlook, Excel, and Word. That was in a lot of job descriptions. CRO, pharmaceutical or biotech, that is relevant experience. ICSR, which is seriousness, expectedness, causality, and narrative writing. And good clinical practices, which is also GCP, which goes to the point of, this is why I tell people to make sure your acronyms are well known, because I have at one point been in both of these industries at the same time of recruiting for tech and recruiting for data science. And while it's recruiting for tech and scientist positions, and while it's probably not going to be the case that a pharmacovigilance would look at Google Cloud Platform as GCP, you never know what your acronym is known. International Conference of Harmonization, ICH Guidelines, Operating Standard Procedures, which is SOP, and then FDA, EU, or ICH Guidelines, along with Global Safety Databases, Oracle, Argus, and Vigiflow. These were very common. I want to be very clear to everybody. This part and this was in most all of them, along with, I think, ICSR. So, assuming they're the same, those are what we're going to be looking for. So, let's finally dig into the pharmacovigilance specialist. I just like saying that name. It's a fun name. I don't fully know what they do, but it's a fun name to say. So, successful results earning Pharma D with over 18, blah, 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 blah. Okay, nothing. CROs is something that they would be looking for, but they need it in the bullet point. Cross-functional, blah, blah, blah. ICRs, yeah. So again, this is not what... Summaries are pretty bad most of the time. You really don't want a summary in most cases on your resume. Unless you're switching industries, you have to describe how they can work with your visa, or you're moving. Those are the three reasons you would probably only want a summary. But right now, this is not one of them. So please use this formatting, because this is not helping. So we go therapeutic areas. Again, dermatology, oncology could be useful. PhD education good. So let's go to the actual work history, because remember, this is what we actually care about, is the work history. You can have a 3 to 5 page resume. In fact, this is 8 pages. And I know people are going to be like, oh, that's too much. But scientists and PhDs for this type of stuff will need longer resumes, and that's okay. But what you still need is to show your qualifications the first half of the first page. I'm going to assume that the later pages of this are where their like theses and all that other stuff is, and that's why it's okay to have a longer resume. But you do want what you need here. This is the biggest problem, is this space is where I need to see your qualifications under a job, internship, or project, not in a summary. So this whole first page could pretty much be deleted with the exception of the education, but let's go with this. Hi, Bear. I know, my dog is trying to get my attention. I love you, buddy. I'm doing a review. So supported FibroGem pharmacovigilance, good. PV, I don't know what the risk management department role, responsibility PV operation. Collaborated with cross-functional teams. Cross-functional teams is probably good to put, but I need other stuff. I don't know if I saw DSUR or PSUR. Compiled province. Okay. I hate when candidates do this, and I really don't understand why, is when they put this in, like, they state what it's about to be, and then they put it like this. So I don't know why. This is like very common now, and I personally do not like it, and I feel like it makes the resume worse. Provided quarterly performance metrics and other safety report vendors to the senior management, ensuring quality output of individual case safety reports, so ICSR. which is good because we now have, oh, I guess ICSR is not the seriousness. Okay, so ICSR, but that's still good. And then there's another bullet point. Okay, blah, blah, blah. Argus, good. So yeah, here's the problem. Some of these bullet points are actually solid in what we would be looking for, but you filled it with this junk, which I don't care about. All of this can be deleted, and this can be deleted. You definitely do need your education. And then this is too wordy. Like, this is what I'd want to see. Like, you've been there for 2 years, and it's a full page and a half. That is too many. You want between 3 to 8 bullet points, minimum to maximum, around 3 to 8. The exception is obviously, like, if you've been there for like 20 years, then yeah, you can have more bullet points. But you've only been there for 2, so this is way too wordy, and there's a lot of extraneous stuff. But there is some good stuff here. So would this pass? Maybe. I think this might pass. No. So here's the thing. I think if they actually get to your bullet points, which most recruiters probably will not, and they don't miss them, this would probably pass because you have at least some of this stuff. But again, I'm only seeing like 50% of it, and I don't see the rest of it. Like, where are the CROs? Again, cannot put them in the summary. Where's the GCP, which is good clinical practice, or Google Cloud Platform, or probably another 1,000 acronyms. So this is a solid bullet point, and there was another one that was solid, but it's too long. Your resume is too wordy, and its formatting is so awful that it's highly probable they will never even get to your actual bullet points. Or if they do, they're going to miss it. So stick to a better bullet point format. Stick to it basic. How you wrote these is correct. You don't really need any coaching on how to write these bullet points, but your formatting needs to be, and you need to pick and choose which ones you want. This is a fine bullet point. Although every bullet point needs to be a singular sentence. It can be a long sentence or a run-on sentence, but one sentence. So this needs to be a separate bullet point or deleted. So hammer down on what you actually need for the keywords. And I am missing MS Outlook, Excel, and Word. I swear those weren't a lot of job postings. And fix the formatting and shrink it down, and then I think you're going to get a lot more success than what you're having. So that's it for this particular resume. We're going to the next resume, but before we do, please like, comment, and subscribe. It really helps me out. Or if you need more help, join me on my Twitch live stream at twitch.tv/headlessheadhunter, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. PST, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and let's go to the next resume. This is a resume review of a project engineer. So in my research for the keywords for this, I found out this market is actually seemed to be pretty solid. Like, it's not booming to the point of like $12 million if you get it, but it seems like this is a pretty popular market. So the fact that this person has a 1 to 75 chance is going to be worse. Ideally, you should have less than a 1. Your ratio, which I realized I forgot to explain, is how many applications it takes to get an interview. Right now, the job market is bad. Most of the time in a bad job market, a 1 to 50 ratio is like a C-. That means that you are getting interviews. It is solid. Yes, your resume could do some work, but it does pass. But in specifically project engineers, it seemed like it was a relatively good market. So a 1 to 75 is worse than it appears. So I'm expecting this resume to be worse than a normal 1 to 75 resume. Now, what we're going to be looking for in a project engineer is your degree. And here, this is the most common keyword that I saw in the job description was Microsoft Office Suites. I swear to you, above everything else, even CAD, almost every single job that said project engineer required Microsoft Office Suites. Or Suites, whatever, Microsoft Office. So Excel, Word, PowerPoint, PDF, Outlook. And if your resume does not have that, we are going to assume you do not know it. That is unfortunately the case. I personally have let through a candidate that I thought, I don't see any Microsoft Office stuff. I didn't see Word, PowerPoint, or Excel on the resume, but it looks like they would have related experience. And guess what happened? They got the interview, and guess what happened? They didn't have the experience, and I looked like a fool, which I should have, because that was bad on me. So we cannot let you through if you do not show it on your resume. Nothing can be assumed. If it's not on your resume, it doesn't exist. So this is the most common keyword. Why? I don't know. I'm not going to judge based on that. I'm just telling you what I see and what the game is. So the next one was Revu, Bluebeam, Revit, and Procure. I think more along the lines of Bluebeam was the most common one. Then any version of AutoCAD or CAD, Solid Edge, SolidWorks, ETAP, PSCAD, and PSS. Ideally, you will have CAD and then maybe the subsystems. CRM, such as HubSpot, although this was rare, so you may not need it. And previous experience or degree in civil engineering, construction management, and architecture. So let's find out. All right, project engineer, your education should be up top. If they ask for it, it should be up top. So the reason you want your education up top is not that it's more important than your work experience. It's not. It's that it's easy for us to check on the little checklist and then move on to the next one. Because if it's at the bottom, they may miss it. And I can't even see your bachelor's here. Here it is. It's all the way hidden down there. You don't want that. So this is what you want to do. This is the format you want. And I don't know if you need all of these things for education and certificates, but we can get to that when I get to that. So first we see if you actually have the keywords. Improved prototyping, management speed, a 3+ functional power system by over 60%, revision methodology solutions such as Fusion, SolidWorks. Yeah, I did not see Solid. I think I saw SolidWorks on one of them, but yeah, look. So this might be a part of CAD. This might be a part of AutoCAD. This might be one of the things up there, but it wasn't on the list, so I don't know, and the person recruiting for it may not know either. So there is nothing here that I really need. Again, maybe SolidWorks, but I don't remember if I saw it or not. Drafted and revised are using Revit. Good, Revit, and Shaper 3D. But that's the problem. You've been in here for 2 years, and the only thing I can find as one keyword is not good. So, also your formatting is off. Like, you don't want to, you can have a portfolio up here, right? So it's either LinkedIn or portfolio, or both if you can fit it. But don't have links down here because it will mess stuff up. So have a link up top, which has a link to all your links, but don't put it under each single job description. Purged obsolete equipment using 5S and lean. Yeah, I don't care. Improved chemical processing sheet by 6 minutes. Yeah, no, nothing here. Reduced paperwork deficit again. And then ISO could be important along with CFR, but I did not see him in the ones that I was looking for. And yeah, so this is it. This entire thing, I have found one keyword, which is Revit, and I'm maybe SolidWorks. Where is the AutoCAD CAD? Where is the Solid Edge? Where is the blue? Did see Revit, right? That was at the bottom. Where was that? I see it's hard for me to find because there's so much junk in this. It was either Revit or Bluebeam, but I didn't see the other one. And where's your MS Office suites? That was the most important keyword. I get how ridiculous it is, but if it's in the job description, it needs to be there. And then your education and certificates is just like, there's too much here. There's just way too much. You want 3 lines max. So this is probably what you want to do. But like, what is it from? You just said that you have a CMA, so I don't see where that is. So keep your bachelor's, probably keep the CAD, and maybe one of the other ones. And oh, this is actually really good. All the way at the bottom is a Mandarin. That's really good. We want to know that you can know other languages. That can go up the very top. That's really good. And then you have an executive summary at the bottom. Yeah, none of this is, no one's reading that far down. This is the part that most recruiters will read. The first half of your first page is the most important, bar none. Again, you can have an 8-page resume like the previous person, but we need to find what we need in the first half of the first page. This stuff, some managers like looking through, and that's fine. So this resume definitely doesn't pass, and this is why they have a 1 to 75 in an actual really hot market. So if they just fix the formatting, they added a couple of these bullet points, you'd probably be people beating down your doors. I mean, realistically, you could probably get like a 1 in 10, 1 in 15 to 1 in 20. So that'll save you a lot. So let's go to the next resume, but this one definitely does not pass. This is a resume of a full stack developer. So this person has applied to about 140 jobs and gotten 2 interviews from it, which is okay. It's like, it's not great, to be clear, but it's like a D+. So it's about a 1 in 70 ratio. What they're looking for is just full stack, and they said this is the part that kind of confused me about what they said, is they did say they wrote in my style, but then they said this would be a good resume with a Java Python preference, and if I need to cater to one or the other, and yes, you do. A backend Python resume, a backend Java resume, and a full stack resume are going to all be separate things. So you may need 3 resumes. All right, this is good. So let's see keywords again. What we're looking for is TypeScript, Python, JavaScript, CSS, HTML, Node, Angular, Next.js, MongoDB, SQL, React.js, API REST, Cloud, Agile, CI/CD, and cross-functionally. Bonus points for architecture, action language, and Git. If you're in the US, the EU has slightly different keywords, but not by much. Bear, I'm reviewing. Let me do this. Dog is trying to get my attention. I will give you attention after this video. I love you. All right. So this is good. This is solid. Perfect. And this I want to actually say, like, this is why education should be up at top, is I barely have to look at it because it's easy to parse, and I just look at it and go, okay, cool, good, done. So full stack engineer, develop comprehension test platform using Java, Spring MC, Spring Boot, Java. Yeah. So here's why. This is why this should be 3 separate resumes, or at least 2, is because Spring and Java and Spring Boot are going to be more useful for a backend Java engineer compared to a full stack engineer from the job descriptions. I cannot code, but the job descriptions usually break them down. This is what a common job description for a full stack dev looks like. But a common job description for a Java dev, and I do know that, yes, they can do both, but still, this is just what's in the job description, is that's what I have to go on. So this is full stack, this is Java. Yes, there are a lot of similarities, such as like API, RESTful, and SQL, along with cloud and architecting, but this is what they'd be looking for. So what you need to do is split this into 2. One is full stack, one is Java backend. And then I also need to know what you did. So developed a comprehensive testing platform using, and then it's going to be either this stack or this stack, and then I need to know why you did it. But that's what basically, I also need to know the why. So, but that's part of the problem, is this is 2 separate resumes right here, and you can already see it in this. Automated repetitive manual retrieval tasks by creating efficient SQL queries. You don't need to say efficient. I really don't like you just need to say by creating SQL queries. Served as Scrum Master and managed continuous integrated deployment processes. So this is a weird part where normally you do CI/CD is one where I think you can safely just put CI/CD, but the bigger issue is I don't know if they're going to want you to do the Scrum Master. It's okay, but it could be better. Engineer and deployed a license-ready RESTful API. Good. AWS server. Recruited, trained, and currently managed a team. So this is another part of the problem, is this is technically 4 separate resumes. So you have backend Java, backend Python, although I haven't seen any Python yet, so maybe it's just backend Java, full stack, or a lead dev, because this is not useful in non-lead positions. In lead positions, this is a good sentence, but if it's not a lead, they may not care. So, and again, I want to know a little bit more, like recruited, trained, and managed. You can just say managed, and currently a dedicated team of 3 engineers, and then you can tell a little bit about what you did. So I'd like a little bit more. This should be your second sentence. So I want to see the AWS up front. In fact, if anything, you could probably combine. You could just say, developed a comprehensive test platform using Java, JavaScript, HTML, CSS in an agile environment, and then add some of the other stuff. So it's not bad. This is not like a bad resume. And this is the new one they used. So their previous resume was the 1 in 70. So this should be getting them more. But it's not a bad resume. I'm just making sure this is even better. And that's kind of what we're looking for, is it's slightly too many keywords. It should be split into another one. And then this should be in the second sentence, because this is really big, unless you can put RESTful API and AWS in the first sentence. So not bad. This should get you more than the previous resume. And let's go to the next one. This is a resume of another full stack. So What we're going to be looking for is the same. This stuff right here: TypeScript, Python, JavaScript, CSS, HTML, Node, Angular, Next.js, MongoDB, SQL, React.js, API, REST, Cloud, Agile, CI/CD, cross-functional, and then bonus points are architecture, extra language, and Git. So this person has a ratio of 1 to 75, so basically the same as the other person before they used my format. Again, the previous resume, they didn't calculate what they had when they had my format. So this resume should ideally look closer to the last resume. And let's begin. So, Canadian, you know what? These are the US keywords. I don't know if the Canadian ones are different. The ones in the EU are mostly the same too, but just the Python is replaced with Java. So, let's see, bachelor's. Okay, so this does not need to be here. This can be shrunken into one line ideally, but possibly two. So all of this, and none of it should be bolded, should be either in one line or two. If you can't fit it in one line, then make it two. But you do want to put in the Dean's List and the President's Scholarship of Distinction, so you're probably going to have to make it into 2 lines instead of that. This should be no bolding. Again, you want it to look like this. This section can be deleted. And is this like Jake's resume format? Which I will say this, Jake's resume format is not great, but it's not bad. I really think it's like a C- formatting in that there's a lot of stuff you can prove on it, but there's a lot more you can get wrong. So, yeah, none of this matters because here you've listed everything. You can't just list this here. Yeah, so the skill section doesn't matter. It can be deleted. Software engineer intern, none of this should be bolded. This right here should be 1 line unless you physically can't put it into 1 line. So Arial 10.5, all of this should be Arial 10.5. The only thing that should be bolded is this and your first and last name. In addition, you do not need this line in between them. It's not the biggest deal, but it does help with your formatting. So, reduced manual identity verification by 90% for fintech. Fintech can be a keyword. That's possibly a good keyword if you're going to that industry. They do like the word fintech. But support affecting 200 cardholders, designing secure OTP automation, RESTful APIs. So, this is good. The problem is as a software engineer, you really want your summary to contain your stack first. So I do like RESTful APIs. I actually do like that you described what you did, even if I don't really understand the brag. But I do like that you described what you did. But this is where you put the Java, TypeScript, Python, blah, blah, blah. And then if you can fit it at RESTful APIs and cross-functional. So, streamline agent workflow by using React with driven DAG, I don't know what that is. It's built via Python, Flask. Okay, Python is good, API, but we already have API validated. Don't really care about the brag. Again, you don't need to brag. Some brags are okay, and if you have percentages like this in your resume, you really only want like 2 to 3, with the exception of managers. But honestly, high-level managers are going to have a very different resume regardless. So all the stuff I say is usually for IC roles unless it's a management role. The how you want to do those resumes are different. Discovered and looked at with SQL queries. So this is why this is a 75, is you have the stuff, some of the stuff I'd be looking for, but there's so much other junk here that I may actually miss what I'm looking for. So, and also where's the TypeScript, JavaScript, CSS, and HTML? I do need that. Although it may be possible you didn't get that as you are an intern, but hopefully you did. So, accelerated client development life cycles. I don't know what that means. What does it mean you accelerated development cycles by 78%? That's great. And reduced cost by $4,650 per component. I mean, that could be good, but we don't know the context for that. Don't focus on brags. The resume that is not a sales resume, because sales is different, that focuses on brags is probably not going to work. But you do have the keywords here, right here. I see some of them. So my biggest issue, and here's Cloud and CI/CD, is you just put too much stuff. I can't find what I need. You put all this here, which I can safely ignore. This I can safely ignore. This is much longer than it's normal. So instead of taking me half a second, it takes me a second to view, which does matter because we only have 15 seconds. Then this takes up my time. And then percentage of 90% by 200K for an OTP authentication takes up my time that I may miss the RESTful APIs. I may miss I may miss the Python here, which I just did. I may miss the SQL. I may miss the TypeScript, Node.js in this, and I may miss the Azure down here, which people can't even see. So you need slightly better bullet points by just reducing the amount of stuff that's there. This is why you don't want to put too many percentages in there, is it can throw the person, hit the desk, throw the person off who's reviewing your resume, and we only have 15 seconds. Remember, that's all we get is 15 seconds. If I had 2.5 minutes, of course I'd be able to find this, but that is not the market you're in. We got 15 seconds to zoom by, so even a half a second this takes off can impact it. So all you really need to do is just shrink it, fix the formatting, and rewrite 1 or 2 of those sentences, but I don't think it's going to take you too long, because you do have these, but I don't know if they would find this if it was in an actual job. So that is why you want the formatting. The formatting is not to look pretty, it is just to let us find this stuff faster. So I'd rather an ugly looking formatting that allows me to find this stuff than vice versa. Let's go to the next resume. This is a resume of a full stack software engineer. So as per usual, what we're going to need for full stack is TypeScript, Python, JavaScript, CSS, HTML, Node, Angular, Next.js, such as MongoDB, or not such as, but whatever, and MongoDB, SQL, React.js, API, REST, Cloud, Agile, CI/CD, and cross-functional. This person did not leave me any notes. I do not know the ratio, so let's just get to the resume. All right, so you are a lead gameplay engineer for an indie game studio, and then we have this in Unity. Yeah, so this you may want to even maybe like remove this, because they're going to look at this and assume that you are not a full stack, you're a gameplay engineer. If you had the keywords like I'd be looking for, that would make more sense, but I don't see any of them. So, okay, again, Unity dev, Unity and C Sharp. So this is the big problem, is this is not what they're looking for. Normally what you want is you want to put your experience above your projects, but if your experience does not have any relevant skills, then you would put them below the projects, which is here. Also, the formatting is off. You should definitely make sure that this is one line. Don't put your skills right here. They need to be here. Please stop bolding everything. The more bolds you have in your resume, the less chance I'm going to be able to find what I need. Developed a full stack React, good. Web application with a backend written in Node, good. Express, hosted on GCP's Cloud Run. So GCP, you do want to say Google Cloud Platform. This is a bit of a weird case in that it's okay to say AWS, but for GCP, not as many people know of it. I know that sounds bizarre. So you want to put Google Cloud Platform and then put in parentheses GCP. So AWS can stay AWS. GCP needs to show out the whole thing. REST API queries. Okay, solid. MongoDB and SQL. Good. But where's the TypeScript, the JavaScript, the HTML, the CSS? I don't see any of that. So where's the no, you did have cloud because you see GCP. Agile you may not have in a project, that's understandable. I am missing CI/CD, but this is the big one. This is arguably the most important part, is the TypeScript, Python, JavaScript, CSS, and HTML. So fix the formatting a little bit, move this experience below your projects, and then for the projects you need to actually put in how you use JavaScript, CSS, and HTML in here. Stop with all the bolding, and whatever your success rate is, you should have a higher success rate than you do. So that's nope, there's another resume after this, so let's go to that one. This is a resume of a software engineer intern, and this person is in Australia, with the full caveat that I have never been to Australia, let alone made a placement in Australia, nor have I had any roles I had to work on in Australia. So I did look at the keywords that I'd find, and they did seem to be the exact same we would be wanting in the United States. So With that said, what we're going to be looking for as an intern is basic knowledge of the tech stack. We're talking like Java, Python, C, a library or two, and SQL and cloud. Those are what we are looking for in regards to the tech stack. So the thing that almost every intern person misses and doesn't put is the ability to work well with others and takes direction and criticism. Takes direction and criticism and working well with others is the fundamental thing that you need as an intern. So first off, your formatting is off. It's not the worst, but it's not great. So you want to use this. This is the peak formatting. It's boring, it's basic, and it gets jobs. Then what we're going to need to do is, I assume so the formatting's bad already, I can tell at a glance. I'm assuming, haven't quite looked at the content yet, that they don't have anything about the last two bullet points of working together as a team. So, collaborated with a team of designers. Okay, so you can't just say collaborated. What does collaborated mean, right? Does it mean every day you worked hand in hand, shaking each other's hand and talking, or did it mean you waved to them once and then did your own thing? I need to know how you did that. So this is too broad already as an intro. Angular is nice. I don't know why you bolded this. Stop bolding everything. Everybody bolds everything. Stop bolding everything. Employee Material UI, SAS components, SASS. I don't know if they're going to care about the, but like, where's the Java? Where's the JavaScript? Where's the Java, the types? I assume since it's a front end, it's going to be JavaScript, HTML, CSS. Where is the rest of that JavaScript? I need it. I know JS stands for JavaScript, but they do want you to say JavaScript, HTML, and CSS. Those are the key. Git is good, but yeah. So this is okay, right? Kept in close communication with manager and product owner, but I need you to go into more detail, right? Like I just communicated. Cool. How did you do it? Met weekly, right? Like you just said, with product owner and manager, where we would go over my code and implement feedback if it was like not satisfactory or something. Like that's the kind of stuff I'm looking for. And implement feedback when a change needed to occur. I need to know those things, but you also don't even have the tech stack. Engineered a full stack web using RAG, compared over don't care. Again, don't care. MySQL is nice, but the rest of this isn't needed. Communicated with non-technical senior employees to gather requirements. Okay, but like, how did you meet them? You can't, I cannot just say, okay, let me try to think of an example here. If someone asked you, hey, how was the concert? And you answered, it was good. I liked the music. They would be upset with that answer. I need more information. I need to know, like, oh, it was great. They played the greatest hits from their... I went to the Offspring concert, and they went to the greatest hits, so they played all those songs that I used to hear as a kid, and I really loved it, and the lead singer had a lot of energy, the music was bumping, and that's the kind of stuff I need. Like, this is communicated with senior technical. That goes for all soft skills, not just software engineers. Any single soft skill, you have to describe how you used it. And then in this, again, where's the JavaScript, CSS, and HTML? I mean, it's possible you may not have used cloud, but yeah. So there's not a lot here, really. I don't know if this needs to be this long. Maybe 2 lines. You could go. I would do at least a minute, maximum of 2. If you can fit this into 1 line, put it into 1 line. This is like the Australian version of a GPA. I have no idea what that stands for, but you know, they will in Australia, hopefully. So you need the actual, like, basic stuff that I'm looking for. Remember, this is basic. Resumes are terrible at showing how good you are. Stop bolding everything. If you just fix the bolding and added those keywords, I would imagine you're going to have a much higher success rate. You didn't tell me what it is. So that's it for this video. If you like this kind of stuff, please like, comment, and subscribe. Also, you can join my Twitch chat at Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 11 a.m. to about 2 p.m. PST. That is where I go over these keywords and I show you how to find them. So let's go to the next video.